Hi, Rajni. Sorry to keep you waiting. We were just waiting that, a few more people could join. Gemini is getting, okay, Gemini is getting ready to take notes. Okay, perfect. So, okay, the topic today is very interesting. It's about servant leadership. So, can you guys hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So, today the topic is about servant leadership. So, can you guys tell me who's the first, what kind of leaders, like when we talk about leadership, what do you think of a leader? What are the qualities that come to your mind? Something like dominating, something very powerful. These are the typical images that we have. Because typically the leadership styles that people follow is the D style. I'll share with you what the key styles of leadership. If you know already, then good. But here I'll just like to mention what are the key leadership styles. So the first style is transformation leadership. The other one is servant leadership, which we're going to talk about today. Third is democratic leadership, where the person leads you, encourage participation in decision making. That's democratic leadership. The next one is autocratic leadership. So typically, when we think of leaders, whatever we mostly think of, autocracy, and leader will have their rules and regulations, whatever. That's autocratic, like a Hitler. Then is a laissez-faire leadership, which provides freedom to the employees to make the decision. And the sixth one is transactional leadership. So first, transformational. Second, leadership, servant leadership. Third is democratic. Fourth is autocratic. And fifth is laissez-faire. And sixth is transactional leadership, which is about day-to-day work. Typically, what we have in corporates, how much has been done, where, what are your dashboards, etc., etc. So these are six styles of leadership. So can anybody give me any example of? Today we are going to focus on servant leadership. So anybody can give me an example of a servant leader that you know of. It could be somebody from your life, real life also. Any example? Somebody who's always around us. The first servant leadership, first leader that I can think of is our mother. So our mothers are the first people. We always think that they are there, they have our back, etc. And they think that they are our servants. सब तो हर काम करेंगे हमारा whatever. Not in a derogatory manner, but we think that the person is for us, तो हमारे लिए हैं. So, but are they a servant? No, they're not. Basically, they are the leader. If you want something, whatever, they are the boss. So it is a boss, and yet that boss is always there for you. Maybe not that much of father. I could have said parents, but more you've seen in Indian context. Mothers are more of, क्या लाऊं बेटा आपके लिए आप कुछ खाओगे खाना खा लो ये करो whatever. So that's a servant leadership. And talking about some few examples, this is basically what a servant leadership is all about. And here we'll discuss. I'll just open. Give me 1 minute to open this slide. We'll talk about how, what are the key components of servant leadership. One second. We'll get into the theory part of it. Any, examples from your guys? Can you think of any examples from your own, scenarios, corporate world or whatever, where you can think of any leaders who are servant leaders? Anybody in your life? It's just opening. I'll just put up this slide at the same time. Anybody who has got to think of some. So, coming to corporate examples, we have somebody who's a very common example of servant leadership amongst women. So, women is what we are talking about today. How women are actually more like this leadership quality that comes to them from within. So, women always want to serve people, or always, so nahi, matlab most of the times, it's our own nurturing ability to be able to help people. So, here we are thinking today, that's why we are meeting. We're thinking that why don't we link it up to, our leadership style at work, because it's something which we have within us, basically trying to be autocratic and trying to dominate over people, etc. It doesn't come like it's not a natural feminine quality. It's more of a masculine side of us where we try to dominate and whatever boss over people. So here, if you were to nurture, it's nothing about being weak, that okay, if we are a leader, we lead by feminine style. So if you don't sack people, if you don't fire and shout at people, that typical image. So if you don't do that, we'll be perceived as weak. We'll not be seen as a, boss babe. And media has also spread all these things about, um, yes, what about, boss babe and all that. You have to be tough to be a leader. Yes, yes, you have to be tough. But why can't we become a servant leader? Why can't I, as a leader, actually nurture people, help them come up, understand their weaknesses, and convert them into strengths? So that is what servant leadership is all about. Being there for your people, not sitting on the top of their heads, ye karo, wo karo, just trying to be with them. So here is I have some points. I'll just tell you some of the names of the corporate leaders. If not, they're not coming to your mind, I'll just share with you who are the top leaders. One second. Top leaders. Yeah. So Indra Nui is she pioneered performance with purpose, integrating sustainability into core business strategies. That's what she did, while balancing profit along with guiding people. She was like a guide. And the others are foreign examples that we may not be here of. Jacinda Ardern, I'll share with you in a bit. Mary Barra, of Oprah Winfrey is all we know of her. So she was always talking about people, issues, etc. So that was her again. She was like a servant leader, empowering people through storytelling, talking about her own vulnerabilities. And she built a media empire focused on personal growth and continuous learning while mentoring countless women, countless leaders across industries, and still is to her YouTube program. Even I watch her programs. So is she being a boss babe? No, she's not. She's simply being herself. So this is what we have about the concept of servant leadership. So to go by the definition, it's serve first, then lead. How about it? Does it make sense? Instead of leading, you're saying that I'll lead. I'm your leader. I'm your boss. You follow me. I did this when I was a kid. So I was made the since I was a good student and a favorite of teachers. So I was always made the class monitor. So I used to tell all the children because I'd seen it, overall movies, media, etc. Okay, leader is always going to be at the top, and the person will be alone standing there and be the boss, and others will follow. So I used to tell people, it's a very interesting story. So I used to tell all the kids in the class. So when the teacher would go, Acha, Seema, you monitor the class and I'll be back in 10 minutes. And tell all the kids, come and stand in a queue and shut your mouth, keep quiet till the teacher comes. Reluctantly, all the kids, bache, like about 12, 13 years old. So then they would stand in the class and, they put the 50 fingers on your mouth and like that. So I was thinking that I was being a great leader. But guess what happened? It happened for some time. Then people rebelled against me. They said that no, you're not a leader. As in that we don't want to follow your rules and all that. So then somebody started throwing a duster, at the room, something or the other. Kisne rubber gira diya, whatever. So basically, that leadership style doesn't work with everybody. So that's why it's better. So then I learned my lesson and I became a servant leader. And I started listening to people first. I asked them, what are your issues? What are your problems? What do you want? I asked the kids, what do you want? So they said, we want to talk a little bit when the teacher is away. We won't mess around, but we'll talk a little bit. It's okay, allowed. So then I became a popular leader slowly as I started listening to people. So here is what I adopted my feminine style. Earlier, I was going by the masculine side. So servant leadership basically is lead first, says that serve first, then lead, put others' growth and autonomy faster and well-being first. And I'll just share the slide with you. Best test is do people grow healthier, wiser, freer, and more autonomous when they are with me. I'll just disappearing again and again. Okay, I'll just put it up only for you to see the slide. So any thoughts on leadership, servant leadership? Anybody of you, Deepti, have you taken up any? Have you done anything like servant leadership ever?
I had been a monitor,
You
yes,
too, Varanta. Okay.
from second standard to 10th grade and kind of a teacher's pet also.
Okay.
Students used to little hate me that teacher's pet. So I just resonated with your story, which you were saying.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So
that is
that's when when you did you change your style of leadership?
being polite with everybody. Yes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I was also a
So now,
PTA, like
mhm.
parent teacher association member and head of that,
Okay.
and they're like taking the queries from the parents and putting down to the teachers. So it's like you have to maintain both the groups equally. parents crib about teachers. Teachers like why there are a lot of
Okay.
queries from parents. So
Hmm.
always got have to be a good listener to both of them and make them at
Hmm.
balance. That what I
Yeah.
used to.
Yeah. So that's again a feminine side of work. So, you if you were a leader, an autocratic leader, that's a difference. Then we would have just followed and our own, okay, I have to do this, I have to say this, you have to listen to me. But when you're a servant leader, then you don't ask people to listen to you. You listen to people. That's a
Absolutely,
major difference. Yeah.
absolutely,
Thanks for sharing. That's a very important point. So you have to be listening to all the parties and all the opinions if you are a servant leader. So
absolutely.
servant leadership definition, here it is. If somebody wants to have a look at it, there is this is how it's defined. Servant leadership is about serve first and do people, you have to see, do people grow healthier, wiser, freer, more autonomous, mainly they are more free to take their own decisions and become servants themselves. So they also follow your style and they also become servant to others. So relevance today is that ethics, engagement, inclusion, and sustainability and performance will be better if we are a servant leader. And the core principle is the leader exists to uplift and empower their teams, not as I said, that we have to empower others, give the power to others. That's what servant leadership talks about. If you want to become a good servant leader, you give your power. You say that, okay, you are willing, please, you tell them, please create this slide or whatever. The person says, okay, I'll create it. Okay, so how much time will you take? You ask them. You don't say that you have to create within an hour and I want it by the deadline. A servant leader will ask them, do you think what is comfortable with you? How much time will it take for you? And then they adjust and negotiate and give the person some space and not be bossy. So this is one example of how we can be and how what I do with my team. So I don't push them and say that I want it now only this now. So it creates unnecessary pressure and some people may just leave because of the pressure. And so any 1 second, yeah. So this is the slide on servant leadership as to what it is. And why women excel at service, as we discussed earlier, when that I think Aishi was not there at that time. So those who have missed that. So why women excel at servant leadership is because we have in our own heart, we have that will to serve people. It's there. Whether we like it or not, we all come up with all this, emancipation, which is all right. Which is a section altogether. But women leaders are more effective than men at drive performance by cultivating servant leaders on their team. So not only are we being a servant to our team members, if you can take a corporate example of a workplace example, may not be corporate, it could be any kind of workplace. If you take a workplace example, so it has been proven that women are exceeding more with their servant leadership style. And women rated higher also in effective leadership styles, transformational, ethical, and democratic. So men were succeeded only in passive management. You do this work, you do this, I'm the boss, you can tell me what you have done. I'm not saying that men are good or bad, but women have been adapting to this style faster. And so to get this survey, organizations that financially outperform industry competitors have more women in leadership. So when women are in the leadership with their empathy, with their values, and with their servant leadership style which is innate in them, so they are performing much better. Unless they won't try to ape men, no, we have to do it. Even men can have servant leadership. Gandhiji was a servant leader. So percentage of leader who are women, so 77% of employee report higher engagement and satisfaction under servant leadership approaches. So here let's look at what are the core characteristics as we discussed earlier also. But let me just point it out by bullet points. So listening and empathy is very very important. As Deepti said that when you listen to the other person's point of view, you are actually tuning into them and you're having an emotional connect. So if you want to be a servant leader, you have to be listening and have empathy. Means empathy is different from being emotional. Empathy just means that to feel for the person, their pain, their sorrow, their highs and lows. That's empathy. People confuse it with being, emotional. Women are not like emotional, but typically women have the potential to have more empathy than men. Men are also my father was very empathetic. He was very emotional, but on an average. And since we're talking about women here, so we have that ability to be empathetic, if you have to have humility, that not that I'm the boss. You say that I'm here for you. I'm existing because of you. That's the core characteristic of a servant leader. We say, tell them that you're not here because of me. Because I have a team, that's how I become a leader. If nobody was following me, I would not be a leader. So have that knowing that I also have weaknesses as a leader. I am not one all be all. Another one is empowerment and growth of others. I have to provide as a servant leader. I provide you with all the resources that you need. You want this, take it. You want more presentations, take it. You want some research, I'll do research for you. I have some time, I can do it. I've been doing it for my team. I go and tell them this is what I can do. This are the resources that I can get for you. I help them to empower them. I want them to grow. Not that being a leader, like the bossy leader, the autocratic leader will say, okay, you have to perform. You get your own resources, man. Why are you telling me? So I pay you. What do I pay you for? But no, if you're a servant leader, you'll be like a humble person and you will empower others and say that I am interested in your growth. Numbers and all we want. Yeah, we are paying you, but I empower you. You can take your own decisions, etc. And taking stewardship and community building also, as I said, you take responsibility of shared resources that you have and fostering and create a community with them. Okay, these are all our team members. That's what I used to do. These are all our team members. I was lucky to be working in a BPO. In BPOs, we have a lot of community building exercise. That's how I'm a part of working because I understand the significance of a community. So we have, pool in our resources in the community, and we used to have a lot of competition, contests, etc., etc., talent shows, etc. So there, it was community building, and it fosters belonging. You would have team names. We have a team of 5. These are your names, etc. So community building is also very important if you're a servant leader, and you have to have a foresight and persuasion. So I have a vision for you guys. I am your leader. I have a vision of where Seema is going. I have a vision where Shifali is going. I have a vision where everybody is going. I need to know it in my mind, and I'm not going to control you on that. In between, I'll tell you the visions. I'll say, okay, can we have a short discussion? Can we have a short meeting whenever you guys are comfortable? Take the time and have a meeting and tell them this is our vision, our vision. So this is how I've been having a lot of servant leaders with us. At Genpact, we were following this servant leadership style. We did not have, because BPO, if you work as an autocratic leader, you'll never win. Because the population at that time was also Gen Z of that time. So then you can't lead them by control and all that. They would rebel. So we had to, out of circumstances, become, and my leaders were servant leaders. So they were always they used to share their vision with us, not tell me, you have to do this is our vision, you have to be there, meet these numbers, ye wo. It was not happening like this. So here are the few points. A quote: if you want to become a leader, please note these points. This will help you. Listening and empathy, humility and self-awareness, etc. And so you can apply it early in your career itself. You don't have to wait that, today I'm a leader, so I'll be do that. You can do it now itself. Even if you're a manager, even if you are at mid management and you don't have a team, you still can have this. Practice active listening. Start a new, start a peer mentoring circle. Create a supportive network while kids say you can start it on your own. Create simple feedback loops. Ask, where can I come to you? Have feedback meetings, etc., etc., and develop micro habits. Give credit daily and ask for one growth question to build servant leadership into your routine. These are very, very simple things that I've picked up, from the everywhere on the net. So this is what people have been following, and you can pick this up, and this will help you. Mid career, you can build psychology safety, lead through empowerment, lead through mentor and support, women network, apply servant decision lens, build cross function influence. So these are the few things you can do at mid career. At a senior level, what you can do is, God, this child is crying outside. Architect culture. So apply it at senior level. What you can do is architect culture. You can create a culture where you have organization rituals, recognition systems. Like I said in the BPO, like we had all these performance metrics, creating to long-lasting culture transformation. Succession and pipelines. Measure, invest in diverse leadership growth. Create pathways of women and unrepresented, groups to advance. Stakeholder stewardship. You can have something like a community around the stakeholders, and you can have crisis leadership and inclusive governance you can have. So at a senior leader level, you can have this if you want to become a servant leader. So the inspirational examples of servant leaders that I talked about before were Indira, Nui, sorry, Jacinda Ardern is the former Prime Minister of New Zealand. I've seen her LinkedIn page. Please go have a look at her LinkedIn page. Very impressive profile. And despite being a former PM and all that, she's on LinkedIn. She contributes. She writes. She's writing on community. That's how I got to know. Some comment came on somebody else's wall, whatever. That's how I got to know. So this is what she has empathy. She's not saying I'm a leader, so I'm now going to be in a glass cabin and I'll not look at anybody. So read these examples if you want to become a leader, a servant leader. Mary Barra is CEO of GM, General Motors. She champions inclusive leadership and transparency, and she has transformed the General Motors culture with the customer first problem solving. And Oprah Winfrey, we all know about her, and she incidentally is also following servant leadership style. So I hope these are very inspiring examples. You can read more on them, and you can type on Google. You can ask ChatGPT to come up with a lot of examples of servant leadership who are actually following that. So we can end on this, the practical strategies. I hope this concept is clear about servant leadership. Those who are watching now, or would be those who are Ayushi is with me and Deepthi is with me, and those who will be watching, later on their own as a recorded conversation. So basically, that's why I put it up on slides because so you can see it and you can also write it down, make notes of this. So these are the practical strategies. If somebody wants to, at any level, like we told you, at any level wherever you are, you want to follow, so you can follow. Just give me 1 second. Um, so these are the practical strategies that you can implement today at whatever stage of the career you are at. And listening to your team, 30, 60, 90 plan that you can start from today. Listening to your team service charter, baseline engagement, psychological safety pulse. Ask them all of this, 0 to 30 days. 31 to 60 days, meeting, redesign, mentorship pilot. You can ask somebody, would you like me to be your mentor or whatever? And have growth per person, the goals and all that. And 60 to 91, for your team, recognize their servant behaviors. If anybody's trying to go off the line vis-a-vis servant leadership, you can correct them and share their progress openly. You can do this with your team immediately. And daily, weekly, you can have gratitude notes, which is something you might find it strange when I'm saying it right now, but actually it's happening. In our company at Genpact, we were asked to, where I've worked, we started this at TVR with HR. We asked us to have, we had a section where we asked everybody to write gratitude notes to their boss or any peer around them. So everybody received small, small notes saying, I remember that time you helped us or whatever. And we are very thankful for that. It was really heartwarming. This is servant leadership. Gratitude roles, office hour, decisions, postmortem, celebrating, learning from failures. We can have a week where say today we'll celebrate once in a month, learning from failures. We were asked to write out always. Again, I'm giving the example. Genpact or GE Capital was a great company. So it was number one company in the world for a very long time. So we can have that quick wins for you can have some sort of weekly meetings, monthly meetings where you can talk about failures and what did you learn from them. Start each meeting with recognition, ask one growth question, create psychological safety by acknowledging your own mistakes. Yeah, it was my mistake that I did this and I'm sorry about it. Leaders can say sorry. Only a servant leader will say sorry. A democratic leader also may look like very cool and all that, but democratic leader also don't say sorry. A servant leader, which I am, definitely I am. I say sorry. And then people say, others say, why did you say sorry? You should not have said sorry. But it's okay to say sorry. If you did something wrong, you believe that you did something wrong, then say sorry. Overcoming common challenges is just be careful of these challenges that you may face when you're trying to become a servant leader. Double find bias. Share warmth with clarity. So it's not like we have to be sloppy, emotional, whatever. You have to be logical also at the same time. Because at the end of the day, you are the leader, no? You're the boss. Like the mother in our family, she was the boss. She may be emotional and crying at some times, but she can also slap you. So typically, so again, we have to be logical and rational at the same time, and we have to have boundaries. So some sometimes when I people when you as a train sometimes online training. So sometimes people take advantage of boundaries because I'm nice, I'm a servant leader, so I'm nice. So people try to, come on strong. Okay, please give us your number, ye, wo, and all that. So I just, so we have to keep boundaries. Some people will try to step on your boundaries, but have a stick with you also. And handling backlash because others may not like you to approach as your peer circle, whatever. And gaining recognition, make others visible, and document team growth stories. Please do that. It's very, very important. You have to give others the limelight too. Only then you will succeed and your team will succeed. So here is measuring impact, people and culture. So we are done with the time. It's 6:05. So we just this is the last. Yeah, measuring your impact. You can see how you're measuring. How are you improving vis-a-vis your engagement? You can see your score. You can take a 360 degree feedback also. There are a lot of forms of 360 degree feedback available free on net. So your CSAT scores might improve if you are working with a client. Learning and growth, mentoring hours, promotions, and balanced scorecard. That's too much now. That will be done by the organization. So conclusion is that to wrap it up, we are saying that the key message is when women are able to lead, so when we are following our own feminine style that is within us, we just have to bring it to the fore and not follow and ape others, saying that we have to be strong, we have to be tough, and all that. If we don't do that, and if we follow our own intuition and nurturing qualities, we can grow faster and we can make our place in the world of leaders. We can succeed just like Oprah and Indira. We can be at the top this with this leadership style because it's natural to us. So why not use it? So your pledge is to commit to one servant behavior to start this week and systems to improve this quarter. Start with one servant behavior. You've understood the whole slide. We can have another session, another whenever at another time to continue with it. But at least for now, you can start with one behavior and see where it's going and how it's helping you and note it down. And the next step is to book a listening tour with your team. Establish clear metrics for tracking servant behavior, the servant leadership impact, and mentor just one from your team, emerging leader who can be it could be a man, woman, anybody, could be a servant leader. So for the resources, you can go to Greenleaf Center, etc. So which are any resources are available widely. So it was a very brief session, and since most of us joined late, so hi Divya, you've joined pretty late, so you can listen to the recording now. And since while we are here, and if Deepti allows us 2 minutes, anybody has any questions? Any questions, or you want to say something about servant leadership? Are you following either one of you, Divya, Ayushi, servant leadership?
No, Seema, for now, I'm not following anything like such. But yeah, in future, maybe.
Great. So, what about you, Divya? Are you following any leadership style? Okay, Divya has left it seem. All right. So thanks, Ayushi, and for being there and being there throughout. And hope to see you again in another one of those sessions. So, Deepti, can we close now?
Yeah, Seema,
Okay.
we can close. Thank you so much for
Thanks,
being
Deepti.
here.
Thanks, Deepti. Thanks, Herky. And thanks, Ayushi, everybody. And hope to see you again in the next session. All
Sure.
right. Bye. Have a
Thank
good week
you.
ahead.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.